Welcome to the Goddess-ity podcast, where women come together and have the audacity to tell their truths. Are you choosing to live out loud while honoring the divine within? Well, ladies, this is your movement. Join Akili, April, Juanita, and Linda as they dive deep into topics like self-love, spirituality, and comedic wisdom. We call those the foundations of goddess life. Tap in with the goddesses every week to be inspired, uplifted, and empowered.
Grand Rising, great people, gods and goddesses out there. This is the Goddess-ity podcast where women get together to talk about amazing things that have the ability to change your life. I am super excited about what we are going to do today. Okay, I am Goddess Akili, and I'm going to introduce the rest of the goddesses here. First, we have Goddess April. Ding, 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 ding. Fantastic. Thank you. We've got Goddess Juanita.
Hello.
Ding, 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 ding. We love that. And we have Goddess Linda. Ding, 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 ding. Okay. So I wanted to make sure you guys got the opportunity to, again, just briefly know who we are. Today, we are going to be talking about something that's near and dear to all of our hearts as we are speaking this month all about self-love. Now, one of the things that, we've been talking about just as a goddess crew is really how to break self-love down to you guys in maybe somewhat of a different way. I know so many times when I'm looking for stuff about self-love and self-care, there's a lot of physicality around it, like, oh, go drink some tea and just get outside and let the wind blow and be under the sun and, do some yoga poses or maybe go take a walk around the block. And I'm not saying that all those things are not amazing. I do believe the physicality plays a role in it. But that's not all self-love and self-care is about. So today we are going to be talking a little bit more about the spiritual components of self-love and things that you can do to put yourself in a space where you even feel worthy of doing those types of things for yourself. We're going to be talking about visualization and affirmations. Now, again, this may be something that a lot of you are very familiar with, but we are going to put our own little bit of a goddess spin on it, if you will. We'll all be giving our insights in terms of how we use visualization and affirmations. We'll talk about really what they are and what the purpose of them are. We'll also talk about some of the challenges and obstacles that come along with trying to use them, though, because everyone knows that consistency is the key. And a lot of times that is the biggest problem in a lot of our situations. So we'll talk about some best practices and then we will wrap it up. So to kick everything off, we are going to start with Goddess April. She's going to bring us into the mix in terms of what the heck even is an affirmation and what is visualization? How do we create them? Just all that good stuff, the good foundations.
Yes, thank you, Goddess. Okay, so I think people are familiar. Like we know what an affirmation is for the most part, right? It is a statement, actions that affirm something. And visualization is just using your imagination, right? Using your mind to visualize, to see, and intentionally actually create what is going on in your mind, right? In your mind's eye. But for this conversation and the way that we want to have it, we are speaking about how we can reprogram right? Our minds, because what is it, like 95% of the thoughts that we have are thoughts that we've thought over and over again. Like they're not new at all, right? And it's rhetoric, it's rigmarole, it's, you know, all of these ideas and beliefs that have been given to us over our lifetime up to this point. The great thing is that we have all the power in the world to reprogram ourselves, to tell ourselves what we think and believe and how we should feel or how we desire to feel, right? We can ensure that we get to that place by using affirmations and visualization. So affirming something is essentially like a command, like with like how a computer is programmed, right? You tell it what to do. You enter a command, you program it, and then it does whatever it is that, you know, you tell it to do. So your mind and your body are essentially tools for you. You are this divine being and you're utilizing your mind and your body. You use your mind to create and you use your body to navigate this life, right? And so it will respond to whatever you tell it. That's the great thing, right? It does not know the difference between what is real and what is imagined or what is in the process of becoming real. So you can essentially convince your mind and your body to behave and respond and create whatever it is that you desire. So you affirm you being the center of your universe, right? You're going to use I am statements, just like you would, like I said, in programming a computer. You're being very specific, right? This is reprogramming beliefs that you have about you, how you feel about you, what's going on with you. So you have to be the center of that and start with I am, right? Another thing is you want it to be in present tense, right? Not the future, not I will, not I would like, but as if it is so, right? Because again, your body, your mind does not know the difference, right? So when you think about, like, say, when you're dreaming, you know what I mean? And you think about like how real it feels in that moment. And you will physically respond in your dreams. There's times when I've been stabbed or shot. I felt that.
Bro.
I have literally felt it. Now, of course, I'm sure it did not feel how it would feel in real life, but there was a pain that came along with it. You understand what I'm saying? Because my body, my mind is there. It's happening right now. You know what I'm saying? So you want to speak to yourself, which is what you're doing. You want to form statements in the now and that center around you. And so we're talking about self-love, right? And so you want to affirm what you are. Now, this is what I'm going to say. You are divine, right? You are the expression, you are the reflection, right, of the creator of everything, right? You're one with it, you are a part of it, you're an expression of it. And so there's no way you can't be, you know, all the things that you think that you are not. You're all of that and then some, right? But you don't believe it. So, so you want to affirm it, whatever it is. An example is, I am thriving, happy and strong. So that's just an example as far as affirming. And then visualization is the other component to it. They definitely work hand in hand because, again, essentially, by your mind and body, you're reprogramming both in a way, right? And it is the feelings and the thoughts together that help to create this new reality for you. So you want to make your visualizations be as vivid and to incorporate all of your senses as much as possible. You want to make it as real as possible, as if you're there, as if it's happening right now. And so you combine those two together in order to start to reshape it. And it's really interesting because you think that a lot of people think it's silly, it's make believe. People really don't understand that it really actually does work. Because the only way you know what you know right now is because someone told you. Right? Everything that you've learned up to this point has come from someone else. You came into this world a blank slate. So everything that you know and think and believe came from someone else, and has now shaped your reality. You believe it. So to not understand that you can do the same to and for yourself, why wouldn't you be able to do that? So I will now pass it on to Goddess Juanita, who's going to get more into the why, the how we do all of this.
And before I go on to that part, I just want to say if Goddess Linda or Keely have anything to add about just defining what an affirmation is and giving any examples or.
I can give an example. An affirmation does not have to be elaborate. I was visiting my family in Oklahoma, and my aunt had this beautiful car, and I was sitting in the back seat, and it drove just awesome. And I just said to myself, I said, well, one day I want this car. And I'm thinking by the time I get it, it's going to be used, several years old, but it was a nice vehicle. Well, I never gave it another thought. And fast forward several years, they had completely stopped making that car. I didn't know. I'm not a car person. Because in the car, I had asked her, what type of vehicle it was. But one day I see this car on, they were advertising, and I'm just like, oh, that's a nice car. And we went out and we looked at it, my husband at the time, and we ended up getting it. And I'm standing in my kitchen one day, and I'm just having this download. And I said, oh my gosh, this is the exact same car that I said that I wanted, but I was wanting her model, but I got the brand new model. And in that same download, it was just sharing with me because I was having a down moment, but of all the things that I had affirmed that had come about, and I had not taken the time to realize it. And I was just like, wow, isn't Source amazing?
Yeah.
So that's my little share.
Yeah.
And I'll add, in terms of like the visualization piece, it's like I feel like I'm extremely intuitive, but I'm also very logical. There's
a brain.
I feel like both of them are always in combat, and I'm trying to get them to flow in unison together, right?
Yeah.
When I think about visualizations, what I've noticed is sometimes I'll be in the midst of trying to visualize something that I want, but I can't get what Goddess April kind of talked about to come with it. Like I can't get myself to come along with it. And it hasn't been until actually very, very recently that I've kind of been in a space where it's like, you just know this is going to happen. There's no second guessing it. But, and I know we'll talk about this more when we get into obstacles, trying to get myself into a space where I can do that every time. It's hard to know when my mind's just going to let go and be like, all right, we're just going to let the intuitive side flow. Okay, the logical side is not going to come in and try to kick what you just created out of the atmosphere, right? But when I think about visualization, those pieces I think are so necessary that you are able to picture what it is you want and then feel like you would feel if it was already happening. But we just lose that I think that propensity to do that.
Yeah.
Because it, again, logic sets in and it's like, hey, based on what your senses are telling you, what you're saying already exists. It doesn't make sense because I don't have any data to support that. So again, going back to something else, Goddess April said, everything you know and everything you believe is based on what somebody has told you. To piggyback on that, not only is it a lot of it based on what somebody told you, but then your brain is searching for experiences and data all the time that supports that messaging.
Yeah.
And once it finds it, it's like ding, 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 ding. See, I told you. See, I told you. See, I told you. So then those ideas and those concepts, right? That's how they then become beliefs because it's just like, well, not only has somebody told me about it, but I've experienced it. So when you're asking someone to go from a place of okay, here's what I want, to a place of I believe it, that's a very big jump, right, for somebody to make, especially if they haven't had all those other downloads and data and all of those things. So I just thought I'd put that in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But what you're saying basically is talking about, what we're talking about this whole topic is, what are the trying to get past these limiting beliefs, right? I mean, how we've been raised in the society has always been more of a left brain thinking, the logic, analytical. We only believe that what we say that we can see, that which somebody has given us all this information. Unfortunately, what we found out as we have grown up is a lot of the information they gave us was not right. It was based on not the truth, but a bunch of lies. And now we're like, oh my God, what happens? But that's one reason we're talking about, going back, we found out from all the things that we've been taught, we're having to go back and look at these things and say, okay, why do I believe the way that I believe? How did I get to this point? And of course, we know it's because people have told us. I mean, it might even be something from our parents told us. I mean, like, I don't know how many times, at school, people would label you. If you didn't make good grades on math, then all of a sudden somebody would tell you, oh, you're not good at math. Oh, you're not good at math. Now, it could be you are excellent at math if somebody had explained it to you in the way that you could learn, right? Same thing with English, anything. It's not so much that you might not have been good at it. It's just the way that they taught you wasn't the way that you learned, right? But because of that, you'll go through the whole rest of your life. When somebody will say something about math, you say, oh, girl, I'm not good at numbers. You know what I mean? You'll go around just repeating these things because somebody has told you that. And it's really no scientific truth to it. Only thing to it is you didn't make good. And so once you didn't make good in math, you stopped even trying. I know it's been some studies, if you look back, you can go out on Google, you can Google anything about affirmations, visualizations. There has been scientific studies in psychology today, and they talk about how there's been studies, like they had an example where this professor, he gave his students, like, no matter what they made on their test, he just gave them A's. He just kept giving them A's. And then after a while, they would study and he would give them a test and they would just make A's because they had got so comfortable with getting an A that's all they knew how to make. And all it was that them getting the A made them say, hey, I can get an A. And it's almost like that for us. And that's why it's so much easier for us to do something that we see somebody else have done. Because when somebody does it, then we think we can do it. But when you tell us to go and search for something and do something nobody has done, we like, oh, we can't do that because we have no reference point. So that is why, we're talking about affirmations. But when you look at affirmations, and especially for Black women, the reason we need affirmations, the reason we need visualizations is because for us, we have been told so many things about who we are, who we should be, how we should act as a Black woman, how we shouldn't act as a Black woman. I mean, we have been told, how many times have we heard the angry Black woman thing, right? I mean, if somebody comes at us and we try to defend ourselves or we speak up for ourselves, all of a sudden we're the angry Black woman, because what are we supposed to do? I don't know. Not have an opinion, not say anything, or either, there's a lot of single women and they're raising their children the best that they can. oh my God, then it's like, okay, well, you're a single mom. Okay, well, you must can't get a husband, or I mean, it's all these negative things that have always been thrown at Black women. So we really need to be able to affirm, especially when we're talking about self-love. I mean, affirmations as simple as I am love, right? I am love because you are love. You were created from the divine, that is love, right? And so love is in each and every one of us. And sometimes you need to just be simple. I am love. And when you say I'm love, then you just visualize yourself being somewhere where people are, showering you with gifts, telling them how much you love you. It can be that simple. But it's very important for us. I mean, Black women probably have a high rate of high blood pressure, heart disease. These things are things that, could kill us. Affirmations is a way to calm. There's even scientific evidence that affirmations, visualizations, simple as I am peace, seeing yourself, visualizing yourself, being somewhere on the beach, the wind is blowing, those things, doing those several times a day, those can lower your blood pressure. You know what I mean? They can release stress. All of these things that for Black people or Black women and women in general is just very important for us to be focused on, our health, be focused on what goals we have in life. A lot of times about, what's really important about doing these affirmations really is that, you can see out on the YouTube everywhere, people are talking about affirmations. To me, some of the affirmations are okay, but when you're really trying to be intentional about creating what you want, you really want to create your own affirmation. You just don't want to say affirmations, like just say, okay, every morning I get up and just start saying affirmations. You really want to make it like we've been talking about from the previous episode about attracting and your vibration. You want to create an affirmation that speaks to a goal that you have. And then once you have that affirmation, you want to align it with your goal, and you want to picture at the end of that, you want to picture you achieving that goal. And the whole thing is that if you're achieving your goal, you got to have some happiness and joy. And even in your visualization, you want to feel that joy and that happiness, because when you do that, that means you are already there and it's complete. And the universe is going to bring it to you because you have brought in, you've given it the thought, you've given it exactly what you wanted, and you brought that desire in with that joy. So putting those two together, you are going to be successful in bringing forth what you want, what you're trying to attract. And self-love, I mean, you might say, hey, you want a relationship, whatever, then you need to be specific about what you want in a relationship. You got to be specific, though, because if you don't be specific, the universe can only give you what you're asking for, and that could be very important.
Yes.
So it's very important to make sure when you're trying to do these visualizations and these affirmations, be specific and make sure it's what you want. And so I'll pass it on to Goddess Linda. You can give us a little information about affirmations and why you think it's important for Black women.
Well, just as you spoke on, you used education as an example, and I have two prime examples. So I was in elementary school and had to take these standardized tests, and you got pulled into the, at that time, one-on-one. We had to do this reading test, and it took about, one part of it, you had to read as many words as you could in under a minute. So she had 60 seconds, and I think it was like 100 words. And I got halfway through, and there was one word I kind of stumbled over, and I just, pronounced it the best I could. And then I just went and I just read the rest of it and finished it, probably in 45 seconds or whatever. So the lady monitoring me, she was like, oh no, I got to stop you where you messed up at. And I was like, oh, okay. Didn't think nothing of it. So now here it is. I'm in maybe a week or so, maybe 2 weeks later, I'm in my social studies class, and my social studies teacher, I wish I could remember her name, she asked me, where have I been? And I said, well, on certain days, I have to go to the learning and development class, be in there with them. And she said, why? And I explained to her, well, I took this test, and after the test, they told me I had to go here. Now, granted, I was in the advanced classes.
Huh.
And she looked at me, and she gave me this look, and she's a Black teacher, Black lady. She gave me this look of, don't worry about it. So the next day, I was no longer in that learning and development class. So it is very important that we affirm ourselves and affirm each other, because what my teacher affirmed in me is that she knew my ability and my capabilities, and she was like, "Oh, no, not on my watch.
Yeah.
Let me go get this taken care of." So, but it's very important that we affirm ourselves as Black women and as Black men, because it does impact us years and years down the road. Because that, even though my teacher stood up for me, that still impacted me as far as whether or not I had reading comprehension ability, and then that also happened as far as math, and having a teacher saying, "Oh, you ain't got to worry about it, it ain't important." And so I struggled thinking that I was not good in math. But as an adult, I said, you know what? No, I need to know that I can do this. And I mean, I was taking every calculus and trigonometry, geometry, all, statistics, just so that I can say, okay, I am capable of learning,
Yeah.
So those affirmations. So that's something that I can look back on as well when I find myself struggling about wanting to try something new. It's like, hold on, you are very capable, so it gives me an opportunity to learn how to not only learn, but apply having to affirm myself.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very important.
I love that. I love that. And I love what you said about affirming each other, because I don't know, I just feel like it's just really important when you felt seen, you feel heard, you feel supported, you know what I mean? And so I think that's what all of this is about, is this sisterhood and wanting to even expand, obviously, beyond the four of us, right? And create this community, this network of women, because we understand how important it is to be seen, to have a space, to be heard, to be affirmed,
Yes.
right? Because what we're learning is, like, if we don't do it for ourselves and with each other, it's not going to happen. It's just not going to happen, and we deserve all of it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. So, who's
Took
up?
the right out of my mouth.
Huh?
It took the words right out of my mouth. That's
I'm
exactly.
sorry, you were about to say something.
Yeah, no, it's just because we vibe together,
We do.
and I think we get on a similar thought pattern. So I love it when you can take things right out of my mouth. I love it when we can take things right out of each other's mouths, because
Yeah.
as I'm sitting here hearing you guys speak about this, right? That is one of the things that I see for every one of these issues. There's hopefully, and in the examples that you guys have given, there's like a soft place to land. Like I have a similar story with Linda, and not getting into the gifted program, or taking the IQ test that showed that my IQ was 127, but it needed to be 129 or 131 in order to get into the gifted program. And I remember specific questions still to this day that
Wow.
I didn't get right. It was like, what's a ladle? We didn't call a ladle in my house. We called it a big spoon. What's a banister? We don't have banisters in Arizona. I didn't know what that was, right? So I didn't answer the question right. So that my father was over there fighting with the people about how the test is culturally and regionally biased.
Yep.
And he was always somebody that on one hand was like, look, the reason I'm naming you Akili Majaliwa is because I want you to understand and always embody that. You're going to have these situations where, people are always going to try to make you feel like you're less than what your name means, but don't you ever let them do that. You always understand what's going on. And he was always just a heavy fighting advocate for me in school, which was so important here in Arizona, because they were trying to destroy me from the beginning to the end. And I mean, from kindergarten all the way to high school, I was constantly fighting. I feel like, if not with the teachers, then with the kids and with the principals and with the system. And he just always was like, I got to come up here and fight these people in these schools all the time, just so you can have a better sense of who you are. So I just can't say enough how important that is for you to have those people that can actually see you, right? You'll have people, I feel like, in your life that act like they can see something,
Yeah.
but they don't see you fully and completely. Like they don't get you. They know they need to love you for some reason, like because you're here.
Yeah.
You're related, you're in their circle, but they don't really get you, right?
Yeah.
So when you have those people that can take the words right out of your mouth or vibrate with you on a level where, you know, they want you to win, there's something very powerful and very special and very corrective, I feel like, about that, that we have to have.
Yeah.
Yes. And you know what's so funny that mine was in my fifth grade teacher, and I don't know if I was in her class at the time when she started. She was a white woman, and
Mhm,
she was my person
mhm,
that started it for me because I was in a gifted school. And I did not feel like I belonged there. I didn't feel worthy. I didn't feel like right. And it was always, it felt like a competition too. I didn't even like the feel of it. Like I was always trying to prove and everybody was trying to be, and I was just like, okay. But she kind of got in my butt and she was basically letting me know she sees me.
Yeah.
Like, you're way smarter than you let on. Like, I'm not even trying to hear it. She's like, I can see it. I know it. I can see it, and I think she knew that I probably had some stuff going on at home, which I did. But she did it in the way that she knew that she could, from the place that she could. And so she really was challenging me. She was like, you can do better than this. I want to see these grades go up. And I want to see, she was like, because you smart as a whip. She was like, I know it by how you speak. I know I've gotten glimpses of it. I know better. And she was like, because they get your report card to write their grade in it, right? Because now I'm switching classes and I still have her. I'm not in her class. I'm like in sixth grade now instead of fifth. Now I'm switching classes, but I still have her for art. So in order to put her grade in my report card, she's seen the other grades and she like, wait a minute now. She's like, you know. But just her saying that, just her saying, I know better. I seen it, I know it. And she was like, and you know it, and I'm not accepting anything less. I will not accept anything less from you. She was, and I mean, like, really, she was a tough cookie. And she was like, I'm going to look at your report card every time, and I want to see these grades go up. And when I tell you that my grades did, and I was like on the honor roll from then on out for the rest of the time that I was in school. Pretty much.
Yeah.
Because it did something for me that only hearing those things could. And you know what I'm saying?
It's like she affirmed what you already had in you, but for whatever reason you couldn't tell it to yourself. So her saying it to you
Yeah.
affirmed it in you.
I felt I was so isolated. I had so isolated myself because, okay, I'm gonna try to make it really quick. The way that I got there was because in kindergarten, I used to talk all the time and I would get in trouble. I didn't even know I was a talker. I don't know what she's talking about. I'm like, why am I getting in trouble? What is going on? I didn't know, right? I didn't understand like what I was doing wrong.
I bet you we all had something about talking too much in class because I
I
had the
did.
same thing. I got raised my hand. I had the same thing.
I was the worst.
Every time I got my report card in elementary school and my auntie had to pick me up, I always made straight A's, but she had already threatened me. If you get in this car one more time with a report card with that check that you talk too much in class, I'm gonna have your behind, right? So here I was, a straight A student, not afraid about the grade I was gonna get,
Yeah.
worried about if I was gonna get that check about talking too much.
Listen, I got all A's. Of course, I was in kindergarten. I mean, but this lady, she made me sit under a desk. She put me in the garbage can.
Now you know what?
I'm not joking. I'm just telling you, I had to stand and something like really clicked with me on that. I'm like, this is not right. I was like, I can't wait to tell my mama. I was crying because it was art time. The kids was dumping the trash in the garbage while I was in it. I am not kidding you.
I want to shut my laptop screen right now. April,
I'm not
I can't
joking.
even believe this.
Right.
What
So
is this
guess
woman?
what? So she talks to my mother and she tells her, like, basically, I don't need to be there. But see, listen, this is a child, right? I'm thinking I'm being sent away. Like, I'm in the neighborhood school, all my friends are there, and I'm getting sent away. It was almost like, it felt like punishment. I didn't understand that the conversation was more like, she's bored as hell. Like, she's not being challenged. You need to send her to this school, get her tested, because otherwise, like, this is not it, right? So it was really like she saw that I was talking so much and getting in trouble because I wasn't being challenged. I could, yeah, right?
The
Yeah,
trash can
because
thing,
that's what
I
it
was like
is.
that.
I
Why
was
can't you
done.
send notes?
Why would she punish me like that? I have no idea. These were her tactics, but thank God she at least acknowledged and saw something.
My
But
God.
the thing is that now I'm in this, right? I'm understanding, like, wait, why am I going here? Why am I? My mom was telling me, trying to explain to me, like, well, she thinks that you're smart. I'm like, really? Miss put me in a trash can? Like, I wasn't buying it. Like, she saw
I was
something
gonna tell
special in me. Like, I'm like, this lady trying to get me out of the school.
Yeah, yeah. Ooh, these are
So,
definitely a deeper conversation.
I know, but I
Deeper
carried that with me. Think of what I'm
Yeah.
bringing
Yeah.
with me to this school. So for the longest, there was so much going on with me. I started having headaches at 6th grade. And I mean, I'm sorry, at 6 years old,
Wow.
right?
Stress.
6 years old, I have headaches, and I don't even know why. They're trying to figure out why I have headaches and all of these
You
things.
try not to talk because somebody punished you. That's why you were having headaches. You were like, okay, am I talking too much now? You
Yeah.
know, I'm
Yeah.
pretty sure that has something to do with
Yeah.
all
It
this
was a lot.
conditioning.
It
You
was,
know,
it was so extreme. And other kids was throwing trash in the trash can. They were being pushed to
Ooh,
also
baby.
make
It was go
You
throw
might as
your
well
trash
call.
away. And I was crying. I'm like, oh,
You
she's
better
not
go
even gonna
call
let me get
somebody.
out. You're not gonna let me get out first. You're gonna let them throw the
Oh no,
scraps of paper and glue and stuff in here while I'm in it. I
telling you.
was
girl.
she didn't
Yep.
care
Well,
about
this
my
is
tears.
why we are here to shed that, to shed all
Forgot
that
about that
activity,
until
you know,
now.
because April,
That definitely is a
that's
very
impacting
defining
you
moment, right?
today.
That's a very deep thing. And you know,
Yes.
things like what you're talking about, that stays with you forever. I
Yeah.
mean, it's like it's something that stays with you ever. And so then you have to, like, we're talking about this whole limiting belief thing, right? I mean, that
Yes.
right there, you need some serious of affirmations and visualizations on everything.
Yes. Yes.
I guess I didn't even.
All right, Goddess Linda, time to take us to talking about some obstacles.
Well, okay. So yeah, we've already discussed what affirmations are, what visualization is, you know, and how we can use them, you know, to help overcome these limiting beliefs. So now let's go ahead and move into, you know, what is preventing you from doing the work? What obstacles are getting in the way of you getting started? So is it you forgot? You just don't have the time, you're tired. Oh, I got to cook dinner. I got to do something with the kids, you know, oh, I'll do it tomorrow. Or, hey, I need to complete X, Y, and Z first before I, you know, get to working on my affirmations and visualizations. So we have our everyday responsibilities, and day to day our priorities will change, but we have to continue to maintain that. So knowing that, my question again is, what's truly preventing you from doing the work? And I'll start with myself. So I'll share with you what my biggest obstacle that had prevented me from doing my work from time to time. And it was fear, straight up fear. I feared experiencing the emotions associated with not being enough, feeling inadequate, helpless, anxious, overwhelmed, vulnerable, ashamed, undeserving. I was hurt. Those feelings of resentfulness, betrayal, even a little bit of hostility. But I knew I wanted different. I knew I wanted better in every aspect of my life, whether that be relationships, my health, physical, emotional, mental, my finances, my work, personal growth, and of course, fun. I tried, I failed, but in my perceived failure, I didn't realize that I was actually succeeding. And it took me some years to get to that place where I could see my success. So, and I don't want to discourage anyone who's listening to us right now by what I just said, that it took me years because the four of us here, that's our purpose. We're here to help you through this, to help you get there. And maybe you can get there sooner rather than later. So don't be discouraged. So for me to get over my obstacles, I had to change what I was focusing on. So I'm gonna share another little story. So what had happened was I had been divorced for a few years and I was ready for a serious relationship. So I was or so I thought. So I thought. So I was in a relationship with this gentleman and he was nothing but kind and to me, and to the best of his ability, he tried to do whatever it was in his capacity to do for me and to let me know that, hey, I'm here for you, I'm the one for you. However, inside all I felt was this rage. I felt like a caged animal and I just wanted to lash out at anyone that was trying to get close to me and get near to me. And it was in that moment of realizing or just being honest with those feelings that I was like, something's wrong with you, you know? And as much as I wanted a relationship and to be in a relationship, I was like, no, I gotta figure out what the hell is wrong with me, what's going on, internally. So um it was through the journey of some self-healing and some self-discovery that I learned how thoughts produce emotions and emotions produce action. And due to some past childhood traumas and marital traumas, I developed the belief that I wasn't enough. And it was in this new relationship that this gentleman, his goodness and his kindness, what it triggered in me was these thoughts of, what is he doing? Why is he doing this? What does he want from me? Is he just trying to use me? And the truth was that all of these thoughts stemmed from that one main thought, is that I wasn't enough. And so stick with me. So here it is. I have the thought, I'm not enough. And the emotions that it was producing, inadequacy, anxiousness, shame, guilt, and hurt, that produced the action of me leaving that relationship versus working through my ish and maintaining the relationship. So could it be that you're not doing the work because of your own fear? Fear of the pain associated with the emotions that's evoked as you're going on your journey and your path of this Goddess-ity, and you're wanting to be having that audaciousness to embody and tap into your inner divinity. Could that be the reason why? So that's a question for you to sit with and just ask yourself, are you using all those other examples that I gave earlier as excuses when the truth is you're just afraid of your fear? So what I want to do is to provide you with 2 tips to help you overcome your obstacles. So the first one is just 3 steps. And so the first one, Grab your pencil, pen, crayon, whatever, just something to write with, and a piece of paper. Step number 2, don't concern yourself with your spelling, your grammar, your punctuation, just write. Because for me, there is something about writing that connects my mind and my heart. There's just something about it, so that's something that I would encourage you to do, is to write. And so we're going to have a writing session. The third step is for you to answer the following questions. And so I'm going to ask the questions and I'm going to answer them, and to kind of give you an example of how this will flow and how this will work. So the first question is, what would you like to work on in this moment? Create affirmations. So I want to create affirmations. Okay, cool. That is answered. Question number 2, what is it specifically you would like to have achieved by the time you get up from your writing session? I want to have my affirmations surrounding travel and my finances. Okay. Question number 3, how will you know if your writing session was successful? Well, I think if I come up with an affirmation, that's it's successful enough. So let's just say for me, if I have one good affirmation, I will be successful in this writing session in creating affirmations. Okay, cool. Question 4, what makes receiving the results of my affirmations important for me? Well, it would make it important for me because it is like a reminder where I'm validating myself that I'm important, and I am worthy of travel, and I am worthy of having my finances in order. It's just going to make me feel good about myself, that I'm doing for myself. So now this last question, and it's an important question. What do you believe you need to address in order to achieve your desired results? This is where you're going to start tapping into those limiting beliefs. You're going to start coming up with realizations as to what's keeping you. Well, is that right for me to spend this money going to some place and where I could be paying bills? And then as I'm writing and looking further into that, it's like, well, why don't I think I'm deserving of spending money on myself to have fun? Do I just want to be working and spending my money just to pay bills and not doing anything else? So spend some time in digging into that last question, and I'll repeat it again. What do you believe you need to address in order to achieve your desired results? And so after I sat with all of my writings, this is the affirmation that I came up with. I have more than enough money to pay my bills in full and on time, and to take a 2-week vacation to Ghana in 2025. That was one affirmation that covered 2 things. It had me being in the present. As Goddess April said, I have more than enough money. Okay. And I will be taking a 2-week vacation in Ghana. So I just encourage you to do that. For those of you who are saying or have said during this podcast, this like, well, I have my affirmations written. I read them all the time. I recite them all the time, but I'm still not seeing results. Okay. So the next time you read or recite aloud your affirmations, I want you to pause. I want you to pause, and I want you to see what feelings you're feeling, what emotions are being evoked. If you're not feeling an emotion that is joyful, powerful, or safe, I asked you to sit with whatever emotion that is that you are emitting, because I guarantee you this. There is a whisper of a limiting belief that is overshadowing your affirmation. So remember before we talked about the vibrations, you know, when you're vibrating and you're matching, so you're having one here and you're having this low vibration, we got to get those to be, you know, equal. So that's where your focus should lie, is replacing this false belief with a powerful belief. And then that leads me into my tip number 2. So for me, I took my limiting, affirming belief, because as it has been said, you keep repeating things over and over again, you start believing that. So it is a negative affirmation. So I took that limiting, affirming belief and I changed it around. I flipped it. I simply changed I'm not enough to I'm enough. Simple and sweet.
Mm.
Yeah. So, goddesses, does anyone else have any tips that have worked for you that you're willing to share, or any comments about what I've said?
I would just like to add in one thing about doing your coming up with your affirmations is I would just say there is, to me, you'll be more successful with your affirmations and with this whole process of visualization and trying to achieve your goals if you keep it just between yourself. A lot of times when we get on a path of trying to do something new, something that's uncomfortable for us, something we want to always go outside of ourselves and maybe discuss it with a friend, discuss it with somebody, you know what I mean? And then they'll say, oh, you know, somebody might say, oh, that doesn't make any sense. I don't know why you're doing that. Da, da, da. But I just say, just sit, as we're trying to talk in this whole discussion, as we said last week, is trying to tap into your inner self, right? Your inner self for direction. When you're doing this, this is really just between you and your inner divinity, because that's what you're trying to get the direction and the guidance for. And that's the power that you're trying to tap in to create this reality that you want. So when you first start trying to do this, but this is like a test for believing in your divinity, believing in yourself, knowing that you are enough. Your divinity is enough to guide you on this path. You don't need to discuss it with anybody else. You don't need to get anybody else's okay. I would say in this particular case, trust yourself. Okay? Trust yourself.
Yeah.
Yes.
That I'm gonna piggyback on what both of you have said and add that the challenges are going to show up in different ways. So just because Goddess Linda speaks of hers as not having the self-worth or feeling like she was enough, in you, it may show up as something else, even though it's derived from the same fearful place. For me, I know when I don't do things like this to help scramble the program that's continuously running, it's because of control issues. I like to know how things are going to happen. I'm very much an action-oriented person. So I feel like, okay, Keely, once you get that belief in your mind that something needs to happen, go and do. It becomes difficult for me to sit because I'm looking for the signs other than the fact that, well, you got the creative download from spirit. That's the end of that. Go and make stuff happen. That must be your assignment, right? So I definitely have those struggles with just, I need to see it. I need to see it. I need to see it. And the more I see it, the more I can move. And that's not actually how these things work all of the time, right? So it becomes a very strong challenge for me to relinquish control. But then going through the process that Goddess Linda just laid out for us so beautifully, and that Goddess Juanita talked about understanding in terms of connecting with the divine, which to me is nothing but your higher self, you will get the answers to all all those questions. It doesn't matter, again, the form that it takes. It doesn't matter what the negating feeling is. It doesn't matter what the lower vibration shows up as long as it's something that's moving you in the opposite direction to what it is that you know that you want, what it is that you feel like is calling you, what it is that you know is in line with your purpose, you know you're going to have to be intentional about scrambling that particular program. It's been playing in the background for so long, your brain knows it so well, and it thinks it's doing you a favor by protecting you from the unknown, right? But know that the unknown has never hurt you.
Right.
Not ever.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you for that. I'd like to also just add again, just based off of something that you just said, Goddess-ity. It's not linear. And we think once we put it out there, this is just da 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 da. So in this example that I shared with you all, as much as I want a loving relationship, what came about in this is it's part of what I'm asking for without even realizing it. I was unable to receive and accept love because I didn't know how to receive and accept love for myself. And this gave me an opportunity to get on that path, a path that I wasn't aware that I needed to be on. You know, I figured, hey, my divorce is over with. I know that I'm a great woman. I'm kind, you know, all of these attributes, but yet unaware of all of that conditioning that was inside of me that I had just pushed down and pushed away and was just chugging ahead. It's like, now the source said, I need you to work on that first. I need you to be loving on yourself in such a manner so that you know what it genuinely looks like and feels like when that man comes into your life and he's wanting to love on you in the manner in which I want and I deserve. Because I can look back on other men that I have dated and I was like, ooh. And I said, I accepted that because I had a lack of self-love for myself, you know. So yes, thank you.
That's the only reason you would ever accept anything less than you deserve, right?
Yes.
Is if we attract and we tolerate behaviors that match our belief system, that match what we believe about ourselves, what we believe that we deserve. And so if you fully love yourself and truly believe in your own value and worth, there's no way you would tolerate certain things that are harmful to you.
Yeah.
Those two just can't happen.
Mm-hmm.
Those two things just cannot happen. So if you do, that is a sign that there is, like you said, some stuff up under there that you may not even be aware of in terms of how you feel about you.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll just say this too, because I have been off today, right? I feel very off today and all over the place. And I wasn't going to share. I was asked. The goddesses, wonderful, checked in with me earlier to see how I was. If you have not watched our previous episodes, using Comedic Principles to Manifest Self-Love, parts 1 and 2. In part 2, I got a little transparent. I had already shared with the ladies, they knew. So I was being transparent with all of you and letting you know what was going on in my life. And so this is currently going on with me. And I realized as Goddess Linda was talking in terms of what's in the way of me doing the work, you know, I was going to say, you know, I have all of this stuff going on and it's distracting because, you know, but the reality is that I have a habit of not prioritizing myself, right? Being a stay-at-home mom for so long, and like, you know, you guys have talked about, that you are the caretaker, right, you do it all, you care for everyone else. Like, I'm like, even when I'm not doing something, I'm thinking of something to do when I really could be using that time, right? Those downtimes, those moments where I'm not doing something, like I'll even sit down with the thought that I'm going to take some time for myself. And then it's like, oh, but I could be getting this done. Right. And that's an excuse to not center myself at that time, to make myself a priority at that time. Right. And so if I go deeper, I'm sure that that is connected to a feeling of not being worthy or deserving of that time. Right. Because why wouldn't I otherwise? Why wouldn't I prioritize myself if I felt like I deserved that? Right. And I know it here.
Yeah.
Right. So there's some underlying work that needs to happen in terms of you don't just, I need it. I need it more than ever right now. And it's probably some work that I know, it's not probably, I know it is work that is going to shift everything. Because there was a point in time when I was prioritizing myself. I figured it out. I got up earlier, right? I would get out the house before anyone else woke up. I would go on walks, right? I was doing the work. I was doing the affirmations. I was doing all the things. And I was happy. I felt good. I was thriving. And life was not perfect at that time. But I had created the bubble that I needed to create for myself for me to still be okay, for me to still feel good, and for life to still feel like I had a lot of good things going on for me, right? And so what can happen though is that something can come up that throws you off, right? That triggers some emotions that interrupt the norm. And what you do is your focus shifts to what's going wrong.
Yeah.
Right. But again, that's what all of this is about, is that reminding yourself that you have the power to create differently.
Yeah.
That's what all of this is about, is that what you focus on, what you decide, what you command is what is.
Yeah.
Right. And so even in this moment, right, I'm being reminded of all of this. I know better, but the habit, the program,
Yeah.
it's running. It is running, running, running. And I feel like there's even times when I even know that it's running. It's like I can't help it. But that's not true. I can help it. There is something I can do. And it feels very simple. And to some people, it feels silly because, again, like Goddess-ity is saying, is that you're like, but it's not true. It's not real. It's not happening. It's not happening yet. It hasn't come yet. I don't feel that way yet. Right. But understanding that that's why it's called work.
Yeah.
And if you do the work, it will. It has to. It has to.
It has to.
Yeah.
It's literally a law.
It's a
It's a law.
universal law, which we
That's
talk
it.
about.
And no
Right?
matter what, as long as you do it, it's gonna happen, right?
It's going to happen.
It's gonna
It
happen,
has to.
right?
Yes.
I think as you're sitting there talking, one of the things is bringing to mind, April, Goddess April, is that along life's journey, you can be going, we're using all these different techniques to create our reality. And there's gonna be times when something happens in life that might throw you off that path for a minute. But the whole thing about it is you can hop right back on again and start right again, going back. It's not like, oh, I'm not doing it. Oh, too bad. No, you just go, you know what I'm saying? At any point in time, Goddess April can say, this is it. But it's only going to happen when, she feels like she's ready to turn it back on again.
Yep.
But that's the whole thing about this journey that we call spirituality, right? This journey that we're going on. I guess you can say there's some exciting things about it. There's some challenging things about it. One thing about it, you never get bored because it's like this ongoing thing that's going on, right? That you're just kind of maneuvering. There's no right, there's no wrong. Even with doing these affirmations and visualizations, I mean, like some people might want to say the words in their head. Some people might want to write stuff down. For some people, it might be, hey, I got these thoughts in my head. I need to put it on a piece of paper. I mean, whatever works for you. But I think, what's good about it, and, if we want to talk about, some of the best practices that you can do, one of the things that I know I've done from my own experience is that I found out, not to get into a whole nother category of stuff, but probably most people know we have a conscious mind and we have a subconscious mind. And the subconscious mind is the thing that controls like our breathing, whatever, things that we don't think about. It just happens, right? All our bodily functions. A lot of times when you're doing your affirmation and visualization, it's really good to do it right before you go to bed. Because when you do it right before you go to sleep, then it goes into your subconscious mind, right? And it's kind of like I'm telling my subconscious mind right before I go to sleep because my conscious mind is going to shut off. And so what you're trying to do is really you want to get into your subconscious mind, and you don't want your conscious mind to be able to talk yourself out of it. Because see, your conscious mind, that left side, it wants to try to tell you that all the things that you just said, I know, Juanita, it sounds good, but that don't make no sense. You know what I'm saying? That's what your conscious mind. It's like as soon as you said, hey, I want to, like Linda was saying, I want to go to Guyana, whatever, it's gonna start spinning all in your ear, telling you, well, you said you was gonna pay these bills off, and you said you was gonna do this, and you said so how you gonna do that? That's what that over here left brain just thinking. You like, shut up, because I don't want to hear from you.
Right.
I want my goal, and that's it. So sometimes, doing it right before you go to sleep, before that conscious is kind of just working on you all day, and you put in your subconscious. See, your subconscious holds on to that thing, and it holds on, and it don't care what that conscious mind is saying. It ain't gonna tell it. It's like, I'm not gonna tell it. I'm gonna hold on to this, and I'm gonna make it happen because I'm not gonna let that other part know what's going on. And so you want to do that, and then sometimes it's good. Like if you, I know one time Goddess April was talking about recording herself doing things and then playing it back. You can record your affirmation to yourself, put it in your ear when you go to bed, and hear it over and over while you sleep. You know what I mean? That helps you let it get into your subconscious mind and be what you find out, because there's a lot of studies that says like, that's why they do so many commercials and stuff on TV, because they know they flash this up. We're looking at like, I mean, how many times you be watching TV, they put a commercial on about somebody, you're not even thinking about eating. Then all of a sudden they put some kind of commercial on about somebody eating. All of a sudden you're like, oh, I want a snack.
Mhm.
Where did that come from? It's like your subconscious mind is like picking up all these subliminal messages and it's feeding it back to you. That's why it's really good. And they tell you so many studies about the subconscious mind, and you doing things out of, habit. Like you doing things and you saying, well, why did I want that? Or why did I do that? Because your subconscious mind has programmed you. I mean, sometimes like things like anger or something, somebody might say something to you and all of a sudden you just snap and you be like, where did that come from? But it's something within you that your subconscious has that your conscious mind didn't even know anything about. So that's why I said a best practice for me is trying to do my affirmations and visualizations, right before I go to sleep, because I'm trying to lock it in and then I'm going to sleep. So the conscious mind can't talk me out of it. Goddess-ity, you have some best practices?
I would say, because I feel like sometimes it's best for me to kind of build stuff into like the things I'm already doing, so it doesn't become such an odd, like, oh, I got to do this now over here for 15 minutes. I started like, I'm already doing this. How can I infuse this into this?
Nothing
right?
wrong with that.
Yeah.
Right.
I had shared with Goddess April a while back that I found this thing called mind movies, which is really about combining your affirmations kind of in visualization. And then if you want to add music to it, you can. But it gives you the ability to really focus on what it is you want. And it creates this movie for you that's like 5 minutes. And it'll show like pictures of different things that you want. And then it'll play your music in the background. And then it'll show you actually what your affirmations actually are, right? And it's your special, perfect little personalized movie. And when I play my little mind movie, I just get all into the feels and I'm just like, you know what? This is true. This is who I am. This is what I want. This is how I want to live. And it's okay.
Yeah.
Right. It allows me to be very unapologetic about it. It is a creative thing that I found when I really started getting into Joe Dispenza. And that's how I learned about mind movies. And when I went ahead and subscribed to it and made one, I was like, I just love this little Akili movie.
That's cool.
You know, yeah,
It
it was
is.
pretty. Are we ready to wrap it up, ladies?
I think we are.
All right, well, fantastic. But we are so glad that we were able to bring you some good stuff today, things that you may not have heard before or may not have even considered when it comes to affirmations and visualization. Goddess April talked to us a little earlier about what they were in terms of being able to use affirmations and visualization, right? The verbal statements, the sound that comes out of our mouth. And I could also talk about what the ancient Africans talk about in terms of the importance of sound. Not going to get into that right now, but it is very important. The sound that comes out of your mouth when you do an affirmation, even though Goddess Juanita talked to us about the fact that we can do them internally as well, right? Making these I am statements or statements about who we are, what we want as if it is in the present, I am statements, as well as visualization, right? Picturing what it is you want as if it's already occurring. We're using those two things to scramble the programming that is happening because of your subconscious, right? It is controlling most of everything that you're doing, 95% of it, right? So we want to scramble that programming with the affirmations and the visualization. Goddess Juanita talked to us about the purpose of doing that is putting us in a state of mind that is going to allow the affirmations and the visualizations to work, right? We have to be in a state of allowing. And as long as we're constantly worried about what's next, what hasn't happened, who's over there, whose mama is that, we can't get into any type of space where we can receive what we actually believe that we deserve, or what we better yet, what we know we deserve.
Yeah.
And then Goddess Linda talked to us about some obstacles and what you can do to create your own affirmation, which is very powerful information because so many people, I think so many of us are used to just using other people's affirmations or watching Instagram like, oh, that sounds good. Let me just go ahead and pop that in the morning. But how much more powerful is it if you create your own based on what's going on in your life? It's nothing more powerful than that. So Goddess Linda gave us some good information with that. So what I want you guys to do is make sure you watch this episode a few times, right? Get it into your psyche, because just like Goddess April told us, you will know things, but it still doesn't mean that it's always going to translate into action, right? You want to get stuff into your inner being. So good news for you. We are going to continue this journey down the path of self-love, because not only are there affirmations and visualizations that you can do. We're going to get into the world of intuition and manifestation and all those beautiful things. So you want to make sure you stay tapped in with us for that. So we love the fact that you allowed us to come into your world today and serve you with this knowledge. We look forward to seeing you next week. We love the comments that you guys have been throwing out there so far. Don't forget to like and subscribe, okay? Because you want to share the love, and the more you like it, the more people get the opportunity to know what we're doing. So we appreciate that.
Please and thank you.
That's right. Yes. So until next week, beautiful people. Ashe.
Ashe. Bye.